Last night, President Trump delivered his speech to the 2025 joint session of Congress. Here was a big highlight from last night.
Just listen to some of the appalling waste we have already identified. $22 billion from HHS to provide free housing and cars for illegal aliens. $45 million for diversity, equity, and inclusion scholarships in Burma. $40 million to improve the social and economic inclusion of sedentary migrants. Nobody knows what that is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No one knows. But you know what? The American people voted for President Trump. Why? Because of stuff like this. They no longer want to foot the bill for excessive spending on absolute nonsense.
Just like sedentary migrants.
Unbelievable.
Let's bring in our political panel. Melanie Collette is the policy analyst for the Committee for a Constructive Tomorrow and the former vice chair for the New Jersey Federation of Republican Women. And Grant Stern is the executive editor for Occupy Democrats. Great to have you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Awesome. The blue is popping today. Okay,
Yeah.
I can't tell which one is which. I like that.
Hey.
So President Trump delivered some incredible and lasting remarks last night, but leave it to Democrats to protest with these wimpy signs. Seems like they spent more time making signs than listening to the president speak about the truth and the passion of what he wants to do for America. How did you see it, Melanie?
You know, if they spent as much time paying attention to their constituents as they spend whining and making signs, they'd be a lot better off. It was so completely childish. It reminded me of my my classroom teaching days. It was truly ridiculous and sad. You know, when they are trying to resist the president of the United States, they are resisting all 7 swing states that he won. They are resisting the popular vote, all those people who voted for President Trump. And this was not his first time being president. It's not like the American people did not know what they were getting. And they said with a resounding voice that this is exactly what they wanted back. And as long as the Democrats continue to act this way, they are going to continue to lose. Maybe what they should have done is paid attention to the solid policy offerings of President Trump and his administration, and they get a clue on how to win a couple more elections.
Translation, Krisha, of what Melanie just said.
Yeah.
Democrats are not seeing the sign of the times.
Well, here's another example. One of the most memorable moments from last night was when President Trump surprised a very special 13-year-old boy battling cancer. Take a listen.
Tonight, DJ, we're going to do you the biggest honor of them all. I am asking our new Secret Service Director, Sean Curran, to officially make you an agent of the United States Secret Service.
A heartfelt moment, and I would think there wouldn't be a dry eye in the House, but Grant, I'll give you opportunity to defend the Democrats. They refuse to stand or acknowledge this kind gesture for DJ Daniel, who literally is battling cancer, battled cancer, and now was being honored here. I don't understand the polarization.
Well, it was indeed a kind gesture, and I think that it's commendable to do kind things. But maybe you could do kind things when it's not the joint address, and maybe you could speak level with the American people and tell them, I, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States for at least 1/3 of the time, have raised your taxes on everything from cars to groceries higher than any tax increase given in American history, and it all kicked in this morning when I enacted tariffs unilaterally.
Okay, but Grant, sorry, I have to interrupt you here. I really have to interrupt you here because this is not politics. This is human decency.
This is human decency,
yeah,
and I said it was a very nice gesture, and I think I would stand up right now, but you would only see my stomach, and I don't think that would be exciting for your viewers.
It'd be exciting.
And it would deprive them of this wonderful blue shirt I'm wearing.
Okay,
So,
fair enough.
I mean, let's be real here.
So you can't defend the Democrats.
I didn't say anything about what the Democrats did there.
Okay.
And if you want to know what the Democrats did, they did not have a unified message. And that's unfortunate because I think that nobody could say what the Democrats were trying to say last night. There was a lot of different messages from a lot of different folks, and it looks like nobody had a meeting beforehand and coordinated. What is our message? And I think that's a mistake by the Democratic Party. I think that the party has the capacity to unify around a message, and they did not show it last night. But as far as what I saw on the screen from Donald J. Trump, it was a melange of stories, lies. It was basically story time, fiction. And unfortunately, he's not leveling with the American people, who he just raised the taxes on by many billions of dollars.
Interesting.
You know what?
Well, we appreciate you being a sit-down guy this morning on First Edition and sparing us from the visual. But you know what? We aren't spared.
I do my best.
But we aren't spared from the establishment media, who launched an attack against innocent DJ Daniel. Take a listen.
And maybe when you have childhood cancer, that crystallizes for you. And I hope he has a long life as a law enforcement officer. But I hope he never has to defend the United States Capitol against Donald Trump's supporters. And if he does, I hope he isn't one of the 6 who loses his life to suicide.
Oh, my goodness. Is Nicole Wallace okay? She might need a mental health check herself. What was your reaction to that, Melanie?
She's not okay. She has one of the most severe cases of TDS I've ever seen in my life. And you know what the message was from the Democrats last night? Grant's going to say, oh, there was no messaging. Oh, no, there certainly was. When you look at what Nicole Wallace just said, when you look at the fact that Democrats could not bring themselves to stand up and clap for a kid that gets a lifelong dream of being law enforcement, who is fighting cancer. And in addition to that, couldn't seem to bring themselves to clap for moms who lost their kids due to their policies, mind you. When all you are doing is being completely hateful and unfeeling, and you claim to be the party of the people, that's the message. The message is, we're not the party of the people. We're the party of, we hate Donald Trump and nothing else matters. That's who the party. They did not keep it classy at all, and it was so disappointing. It's so disappointing. And this moment right here shows the stark difference between the Democrat Party and the Republican Party, and specifically 47, who, for all his brash and blunder, at least has a heart. At least cares, which is more than I can say for those Democrats who were sitting in Congress last night, being stone-faced and not even clapping for a kid with childhood cancer. It was disgusting, and that was the message. And I think that the taxpayers and their constituents should certainly take note.
Right. Well, they did take note. In terms of the polling last night, CBS YouGov poll saw that Americans, over 75% of them, agreed with Donald Trump's message. They said they were quoted saying it was very hopeful, optimistic on the day of tariffs, that is, as well as CNN. 7 out of 10 people who were polled felt they were right in line with Donald Trump's messaging. So, Grant, I mean, it looks like the Democrats are doing themselves no favors by acting like this.
Well, I mean, I have to say that Donald Trump didn't say anything very factual or true for most of that speech. So, of course, a lot of people would like what they hear. For example, he said he lowered interest rates because interest rates lowered a tiny bit on the day that he announced these horrific tax increases that are going to make the price of cars, if you think a $30,000 car is too expensive, well, now it's going to cost $40,000, right? And so he just glossed over all the important things. Like, for example, he has no plan to get the price of eggs lower, right? He has no plan to stop the measles outbreak, and he has no plan to stop the trade war he's initiating unilaterally without an act of Congress or actually a real reason. He's complaining about fentanyl coming in from Canada. I think they sent less than 100 pounds were captured fentanyl coming from Canada to the United States. And believe me, there's bad things that go from the United States to Canada, like our weapons that are illegally run up there, and especially in Mexico. He even agreed to stop the illegal flow of guns from America into Mexico. We'll see if he sticks to that agreement. But he didn't talk about any of the actual things impacting Americans. You know, it was a 1 hour plus speech, and I think he spoke about eggs one time for about 30 seconds.
But
and
eggs,
only to
we all
blame Joe
know.
Biden, even though the price of eggs skyrocketed after he took office. So
They also
what's going on here?
skyrocketed
I mean,
before
they
under
like
Joe
what they
Biden.
hear, but they didn't hear what they don't like things about. And believe me, things they don't like are about to rise up and kick them in the butt in the next couple of weeks.
You know what's amazing, Melanie? When you have Democrats like Grant who flee blue states and go down to red states like Florida.
I'm from Miami, so I didn't flee any blue state, pal. Maybe you fled a blue state. I don't know.
Well, you didn't flee a red state for a very good reason. Why? Because of lower taxes.
Because I'm from here.
And
My whole
Melanie,
life is here.
President Trump.
You know, it's not that easy.
President Trump laid out an economic agenda, not just trickling down taxes on producers, but also
on people who
trickling down,
work. People who
actually
work are going to pay more
raining
taxes.
down
People who
taxes
don't work will pay
on
less.
tax reprieve on the American people through no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no
because you're
tax
going
on
to be needing to work a lot of overtime to
security.
afford the
And
other tax
none
increases.
of those Democrats, in fact, Grant is trying to filibuster right now. None of the
It's
Democrats
true. The
seem
price
like
of cars is supposed to go up 25%. And you're like,
tax
oh, we're going
reprieve
to take
for
your tax
the
away on
American
overtime so you can
people.
afford
So
it.
what say you, Melanie?
It's hilarious.
They're not. And had God forbid, Kamala Harris been elected, then she would have.
She wouldn't be raising your taxes.
No, she would have got rid of the tax cuts that Donald Trump is trying to make permanent that he did in his
for the
first
billionaires?
term.
Yes.
All of the financial reports report that the government as a whole, that constituents as a whole, saved money during the Trump era. The American people got to see both administrations and what life was like under both the Biden-Harris administration and under the Trump administration. And what the American people overwhelmingly decided is that their wallets were fatter, that there was peace for the most part all over the world, and that they did not have to worry about their taxes getting raised. And everything you said about whether or not he had a plan for the egg situation is absolutely false. What you said about the taxes being raised with tariffs, again, absolutely false, because if tariffs were so horrible, why didn't the Biden-Harris administration do away with them on China when they got into office? They didn't. They kept them, didn't they? But nobody wants to talk about that.
Yeah, but they didn't raise them unilaterally for no reason.
My gears about Democrats is you just sit up there and lie. Either that or
and they didn't slap tariffs on Mexico and Canada.
Be quiet, Grant. She's fact checking you.
I'm just saying, like, none of the things that you said.
She's leaving out the important parts
at all. And where was that energy about prices going higher when cumulative inflation was over 20% during the Biden-Harris administration? Where was it when regular
and it's
inflation
been going
was at
down
9%?
until Trump showed up.
And you'll have the audacity, you guys, Occupy Democrats has posted news about, oh my God, inflation's at 3%. Really? When it was 9% for a very long stretch, nobody said a word. Biden's doing great.
Everybody said a word.
They called it transitory.
You need to stop.
We have a lot to get to this
when
morning,
Donald Trump
but
causes
I
his
do
own
want to get to this
inflation-
one story. If we could switch gears, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass faces a recall effort after several large donors, such as Kennedy Ally, Nicole Shanahan, funds this effort since there was a failed response to LA fires. Grant, your reaction?
I mean, listen, there's not a single municipal water system that's designed to fight literal wildfires. That's why they're called wildfires, not house fires. This is just another stunt. I mean, the recall threshold in California is very low enough that someone with a real small minority of votes can institute a recall. We saw it happen with Governor Newsom. It failed. It's really difficult to get a recall passed. And this is just another political stunt by Republicans to distract people from the fact that most of their policies are there to hurt working people, hurt the average American, raise the price of groceries, raise the price of the cars you're buying, and pretty much tax you into oblivion. So very few, maybe 1,200 ultra-rich families can go with no taxes. That's the Republican Party's platform today. And Donald Trump laughed and joked about it in front of the entire American people without actually saying the reality of the situation. So this
But let's
is
talk
just a
about the
sideshow.
reality
I
of
don't
the
think this is really
situation.
gonna change
Gascon,
anything.
who also was a politician in LA, he was recalled successfully. So recalls, especially in LA, has a track record. And you talk about taxes, Grant.
And
well,
it's a
you know what?
sideshow. It's just not going to impact
I got
the American
IRS
people
on the line
that
right now.
much.
Yes, his name is Grant Stern.
That
and
is
he
false
wants to
because
pay
the IRS will not
higher
answer after
taxes.
Elon
And he
Musk
lives
fired
in, he
most
lives
of the
in
important
Miami.
employees
So make sure
there.
you get the right Grant Stern. We got to leave it there. Melanie, Collette, Grant Stern, thank you so much for joining First Edition.
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you.
You bet.
You got it.